Hello, welcome back everyone. Let's complete what we started last week. We're still on the poem Hole in the Sky by Niyi Osundare. Okay, the last time our focus, our interest was on the themes and of course the diction he used. So today we are going to move forward and focus on the poetic devices used, the structure, and of course the tone and mood of the play. Are we ready? Let's go. Yeah, let's do our usual, our class mantra. Wherever you are, if you're standing, if you're sitting, you know the usual. Okay, there is a tree in every seed. I will grow and blossom. The world will hear my name, and the world will hear my voice. We are all ready and eager to await your name in the future. Always say it like you mean it. So let's go down to the business of the day, and that is the structure of the poem. Good. I told us that structure of something is just the physical layout. So when we are talking about looking at the structure of this poem, we are looking at what kind of poem this poem is and the lineation and stanza formats. Okay, I have put out the poem before us. I am not going to read it, but we are going to look at it, and then you read, we'll discuss as we move ahead. Now, aside from the vernacular that he has put in certain places, okay, we see it here, we see it here, I will just be concentrating on the verse, because that vernacular is actually meant to be a musical instrument. So for starters, this poem is very, very special. What do I mean by special? This poem is a choreo poem. This poem is meant to be accompanied by a musical instrument. Okay? It's meant to be accompanied by a musical instrument. That's what the poet did. So he kind of infused the traditional form of poetry with the modern. So that's why you see the koko wakokodi like you get to see here, but I will not include that in our structure. So when I count delineations of the poem, just know I'm talking about places excluding the vernacular part. Okay, let's go back. Yeah, now this is a poem, like I told us, it's a choreo poem, a poem of cool 86 lines. Oh, quite a lengthy one. 86 lines, and divided into 9 unequal structures. Okay, you see, he also did us the honors by numbering them. You see 1 here. Can you see that? You see 2 here. Can you see that? You see 3. The poet did that himself. Okay, 4 here, 5. You see 6. Sorry, you see 6. That's 6. 7, 8, and 9. Beautiful. Okay, that's how the poet just broke it down. One other thing, this poem comprises from, you see, as little as 5 lines in a stanza up to 15 lines. For starters, this stanza 1 that we are looking at here, okay, the whole of the stanza is basically 11 to 12 lines. 11 to 12 lines. You come down to 2, we have 8 lines. Okay, Now you come down to stanza 3. You have 5 lines. You see, that's what we mean when we say that it is actually unequaled. Okay, there is no particular pattern to this poem Hole in the Sky, because of the nature of what it is. The Koko Bakoko they hear is the drum beat. Remember last week I put in the video of the poet himself reciting the poem. So we saw him as he was reciting it. We saw that it was accompanied by his talking drum, the Yoruba usual talking drum, because the poet is from the western part of the country, and he also accompanied it with a flute. So that part is what signifies the musical accompaniment. Okay, if we are to break it down on what he did in these stanzas, you will see the poet in stanza 1 talking about, it starts in a very peculiar way. It's like a dialogue between the poet and Mother Earth. Mother Earth says, "Tell my story. Oh, tell my story the way it is." Okay, he's saying, "Tell my story, Earth said to me, tell it the way it is." So it starts with the Earth telling the poet, "Come on, as a poet, come and tell my story. Don't sugarcoat it, don't paint it, say it the way it is. Tell my pain." Okay, that's what we find in the first stanza. We move down to the second stanza. All right, what do we see here? The poem talks about these lines, in these few lines, the misfortunes and mishaps going on. Talk about the volcanoes, talk about earthquakes. Like he said, the day the river caught fire and the lake burnt like devil's sword. He's just talking about all the natural disasters that has plagued the earth as a result of man's activities. All right, you come down to stanza 3. What do we have there? Okay, let's go back. What do we have there in stanza 3? Is basically mishaps caused by pesticide. See, man, in a bid to make life better, has ended up making life worse. That's why the poet says the poison killed the pest and later buried the people. And then you see him following up his words with his drum beat and his flute. Alright, in stanza 4 we see him talking about the trouble in the aquatic and marine life as well. So it's not just the sky that has a problem, it's not just the rivers that have a problem, it's everywhere. Mother Earth is crying. Mother Earth has been devastated, has been destroyed by man. Remember, we told us that the themes in this poem are basically the problem with the ecosystem. The ecosystem did not hurt itself. It's activities of man that are dealing with it. Alright, come down to stanza 5. What do we have? In stanza 5, it's talking about desertation and deforestation. This stanza 5 comprises of just 15 lines. Okay, in stanza 6, he's talking about the unpleasant state of the situation of things as a result of these wholesome activities of man. All right, here, see, the midday sun cannot see its face in the lake anymore. Why? Because the turquoise sea is yellow from the poison of upland plants. The day they killed a tree in the ancient forest, the chainsaw left a ditch on the leaves of the leaves. It's talking about the effects, the unpleasant state, these things, these unwholesome activities of man has left Mother Earth. Okay, Going down, we see the same thing in stanza 7 and 8. Okay, he's crying, particularly in stanza 8. Take a look at this. Take a look at this very place, this very line. Okay, it says, the earth we used to know is once upon a time. That things, let me borrow the words of Chinua Achebe, things are falling apart and the center cannot hold. But the interesting thing is that finally, when he comes to the very last stanza of the poem, that is stanza 9, okay, which is made up of how many lines? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Of just 7 lines. What does he do? He gives us hope. He said the trumpet sounds in the horizon. Why? It's like a gathering of green lovers, a gathering of earth lovers, trying to have this awakening to do what? To salvage what is left of the earth. Okay, so that's it for the structure. But in a nutshell, I just put it down in this form. Stanza 1, a dialogue between the poet and the bitter earth. Stanza 2 talks about the misfortunes, the mishaps dealt on Mother Earth. Stanza 3, and all that till we come to the last verse. So this is just a brief summary. Now let's move ahead to the poetic, the tone and the mood. From the title of the poem itself, A Hole in the Sky. A hole in the sky. I mean, if they say there's a hole in your dress, it means there's trouble. So from the title already you know that there is trouble, that all is not well. I love borrowing Chinua Achebe's words, that things fall apart. The poet's tone is basically sad. He's not happy. It's filled with warnings. It's filled with wailings. It's filled with regrets. Okay, we have words like the earth we once knew is once upon a time. Tell my pain as it is. No sugarcoating. You go further, you see words, sentences like mayhem in every movement. Chainsaw left a dirge on the leaves of the trees. Okay, all this indicates that, oh my God, that something is not right. So the poet's tone is simply admonishing, expository, it's scary. Okay, he's like a sage calling out in the wilderness for man to make right his way. Otherwise, we should just wait out and look as doom covers the whole earth. And this kind of leaves the reader in a kind of, oh my God, in a guilty sort of atmosphere. Oh, is this right? Have we done this? A kind of remorse and creating awareness of what's on ground. So the whole atmosphere of the poem suggests like destruction, suggests doom, suggests that all is not well. Okay, I hope we picked that. Now moving on, let's look at the poetic devices. Of course, we are aware that these are the embellishments a poet used to add more meaning, more effects, more emphasis to his work. And this poem, oh my goodness, is filled with a whole lot. From its nature already being a choreo poem, it has just infused. The style is a combination of rhythm, the natural rhythm, the African traditional rhythm, to the words of the poet. We also see poetic devices as personification, metaphor, irony, repetition, similar imagery, hyperbole, paradox, etc. and etc. If you have the poem with you, if you're to go, I will tell you one thing, that this poem, the predominant device in the poem, is basically personification. Yes. Why do I say that? If you check out every stanza, apart from stanza 5 and stanza 9, you see personification embedded everywhere. It's all through. If from you see it from the very first stanza, tell my story. That's the earth talking. Tell my story to the poet. You go down, you see it in lines 15, you see it over down to lines 21, and it keeps going on and on to lines 31 down to lines 40, and so on and so forth. I mean, the whole poem is an embodiment of personification. Yes, it's symbolic. It looks like a monologue talking about the horrors of the situation that is facing the earth, pointing out those problems. I try to give us some pictures to look at some natural disasters, or will I say man-made problems, because what the man is crying about is that all these that are occurring as a result of man's activities on planet Earth. We see devices like metaphor. Okay, the poem is metaphorical. The kind of way he used his language is metaphorical. We see metaphor in lines 37. Okay, in lines 54. Okay, you find it there in lines 41. In fact, if you read in between the lines, you begin to understand that so many things are used to represent the others. Okay, what about irony? Isn't it ironical that man, in trying to make life better for himself, he's introducing so many things, and of course at the long run, talk about the pesticides, talk about the chemical pollution, is destroying him. He's destroying himself on the long run. Oh, come on, repetition is there. Check out lines 4, you see it. Don't sugarcoat it, don't varnish its truth, don't cover its scars. We see it in 8, 9, 10, 11. Say it the way it is, the way it is. Tell my pain the way it is. These are just some instances. Now, checking imagery. Imagery is there too. Reading the poem, even if you take just stanza 1, what imagery does it create in your head? It's similar to the picture I have right beside it. Hyperbole. Come on, move down to lines 62. Okay, go to stanza 8, line 62. You see, line 66, sorry, precisely. It says, often hot summers, winters blind with eyes. Come on, often hot summers. And these summers are no longer the usual relaxing summers, but they are just oven hot that can bake you. That's quite exaggerating it to some point, but that's to tell us the intensity of the seriousness of what the poet is trying to say. He's trying to cry out that, come on, that things are no longer how it should be. Things are going down the drain, and the earlier we act, the better. Now, it's paradoxical to say that the wailing whales that are seeking solace, and the dolphins that are seeking solace as they dive deep into the ocean, the more they go, they seem to find none. Okay, that is, go to line 26. The thunder of the sea rattles the silence of the sky. Wailing whales wonder about their woes. The deeper the dolphin dives, the shallower is desired relief. Okay, the deeper it dives, the shallower it gets its relief. It should be the other way around. That as it's diving deeper, it should be getting a more refreshment, because the life of all these aquatic animals solely depends on the sea, and they enjoy it down to the depths of the sea. But both sea pollution, air pollution, oil spillage, and all other harmful activities of man has made sure that these things no longer happen. Okay, I don't know if we really get what we are saying, so let's take a quick check. For starters, this poem talks about climate change as well as the negative effects of some harmful practices of man. Okay, practices like using insecticides, all right, deforestation, desertification, and all that. Now, if you don't pick anything, pick that this poem is a choreo poem, which means it's meant to be accompanied with a musical instrument. I will implore us to go back and watch the video I sent us of the poet rendering the poem himself. It will make more sense to us. So it's a choreo poem, a poem of 86 lines laid out in 9 unequal stanzas and embellished with beautiful, wonderful poetic devices like personification, simile, irony, etc. and etc. to drive the point home. Why don't you also on your own try to see if you can point out other poetic devices in this poem? Don't forget to check on the activity section or the quiz section to do the work that has been stipulated out there for you. If you always need help, please ask. Help is available for you both online and offline. Thank you for listening.